I guess he put a lot of mental energy out there that came back to him, and he, lo and behold, became who he became. And so I think a lot of it is the power of positive thinking.
And you ended up following your own dream, of course, as we know, but you signed a recording contract with Atlantic Records that led to your first charting record on the pop charts in the 1960s. So could you take us through the series of events that led to you signing with Atlantic?
Well, I was trying to make it as a pop singer then, and I was recording under the name of Brian Stacy. That was back in the days of Brian Hyland and Paul Anka and Frankie Avalon and all those crooners, and I kept thinking, well, maybe I could do this. So I came up with that name and recorded a song called High School Days, and it became a very successful regional hit. Matter of fact, it got up into the, I think, 50s or 60s or whatever, up in the pop charts nationally, and it was on Atco Records, which was part of Atlantic, and I was discovered by Jerry Wexler there, and so that was kind of my first introduction into hitting the charts with music, and it kind of became addicting, and I really thought that this is what I wanted to do the rest of my life.
And that I was just going to say that first record led to you actually touring as the opening act for several big-name popular music rock and roll groups at the time, like the Animals, Jan and Dean, and the Beach Boys. So how did that exactly happen? How did you get connected with those groups?
Well, they were touring, in the southern part of the country, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, and the agency that I was booking through at the time also repped the promoters that were promoting those shows, and I wound up on some of those shows, and my first professional paying job was for $300, which I thought was the most money I'd ever seen in my life at one time, and I was opening up for a guy named Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs, and he had this song Wooly Bully, and so I was on the show with him. So I had a chance to really kind of cut my teeth, or became a journeyman to the trade, working with some of the biggest names at that time, the names you've just mentioned.
Well, it seems like you were really on track to become a big star in the pop field, but you stopped recording and you started working on the record promotion side of the industry. So what led you to start working in promotion and leaving the actual music singing to the sort of in the back seat for the time?
Well, after a while, I just realized that I wasn't getting, where I wanted to be as an entertainer. So I thought, well, maybe it's not meant for me to be a performer. Maybe it's just meant for me to live my life through the eyes of other performers. Maybe I can get that same incredible feeling of satisfaction through seeing their careers surge and do well. And so I became a promotion man and had a chance to promote great artists and watch their careers flourish. And so it was standing in the wings of living my dreams through their dreams. And then, lo and behold, many years later, I became a country singer through the encouragement of a legend that talked me into becoming a country singer, Waylon Jennings. And Waylon told me I could do it, and I did it. But in the beginning, I just couldn't get arrested as a pop singer. I got close, but close doesn't get it when you need to be having hit records, so it just didn't happen for me. So I gave up on being a pop act and became a record executive, and then came back in again through the back door as a record executive.
Well, you were very successful in promoting records, and didn't you actually discover John Denver in New Orleans? Yeah,
we signed John Denver to RCA, and his career took off with, I think his first album for us was Prayers, Poems, and Rhymes. I forget the exact title, and then we hit with a couple of, he had been a successful writer. He had written some great songs before then, but his career as a performer took off after we got him signed to RCA. And
so did you just stumble upon him singing, or how did you actually meet?
Well, I actually heard him singing in New Orleans, in Beale Street, not Beale Street, but on Bourbon Street, and he was performing in there one night in a club just as a guitar act, and I heard him, and I thought he was just phenomenal, and I knew he was a star.
And you were also influential in the start of Neil Diamond's career, promoting some of his records, too.
Well, you know, many years ago, I was working for a local record distributor in Memphis, Hotline Record Distributors, and one day I was in the back of the warehouse pulling records to take to the radio station, and the receptionist up front said that there was a guy up front that wanted to play me a record, and I said, well, I'll be up in a few minutes. And so I went up, you know, shortly after that and walked up, and there stood the guy with long hair down to his waist and a sweatshirt and jeans and sneakers, and I heard a little bit of his record on the turntable, and I said, I believe you're a hit act. Let's take your record down to the local station. So I went down to WMPS, the local radio station there, the big pop station, and a good friend of mine was the jock of the day there, and he listened to it while he was playing another record on the air, and he said, "Yeah, I'll put this on right now." And I said, "No, let's wait till we get back in the car." I said, "He might want to hear himself on the radio." So we got back in the car, and Neil Diamond was sitting next to me, and he got a chance to hear himself on the radio. And, of course, you know, the rest is history. We all know what Neil's career has done. It absolutely exploded.
Yeah, he's one of the most dynamic performers I've ever seen. I'm from New Hampshire, and we saw him perform at Fenway Park, my mother and I, a few years back, and it was just a fabulous show. Well,
he is one of the true masters of the stage. I mean, he knows how to. Neil Diamond is probably the epitome of performers. He and, of course, Elvis, and I love Kenny Rogers, and Lionel Richie is an incredible performer, but Neil Diamond is still one of the most dynamic performers on stage then and now.
So I believe it was after working for RCA you started to you opened up your own record promotion firm, and you found a song, and I believe it was around 1974, entitled "Devil in the Bottle," but you didn't really have any success in trying to pitch it to record companies. What did you pitch it to? About like 8 different companies, and they all turned it down?
I actually pitched it to a lot of different artists, people like Waylon and Charlie Pride, and a lot of different artists that I felt could have a hit with it, and nobody thought it was a hit. And so one night I was in the studio demoing some songs, and my office was upstairs over the studio, and there was about 15 or 20 minutes left on the session, and they said, "Well, we got time for another song," and I said, "I don't have one." And I remembered that song, "Devil in the Bottle," and I ran upstairs and took it out of my desk. I remembered where I put it and came back downstairs and did a demo on it. And it turned out so well that I went into Nashville and cut a master on it. And I tried to get every label in town to pick it up, and everybody passed. And a great story, though, Paul, that a lot of people might not have heard. It goes to show you that sometimes your own opinion of what you do is just as important, like Elvis had talked about, that you have to dream it and believe it yourself before anybody else will. I remember so well the day that Devil in the Bottle went to #1 in Billboard, and I was so excited to go to my mailbox and open up Billboard magazine to see my record at #1. And when I opened up the mailbox, there was a package in there. It was a return from a major label telling me that they didn't feel that the song was commercial enough to be on radio at the time. But in the other hand, I was holding Billboard magazine that said the same song was #1. So
amazing.
In one hand I had a rejection, and in the other hand I had gone to the top of the mountain. So that was a great day and a great story to be able to, just to keep believing in what you want to do in life, and hopefully after a while you get your chance. And so yeah, that was a great day, a great story.
So was the actual master that you recorded in Nashville before you shopped it around to some of the record companies, was that the same exact cut that was released by Motown, or did you re-record it for the release?
Nope, it was the same cut, identical in every way.
And so,
as I say, everybody passed because nobody thought it was commercial. So I got a chance to prove them wrong at least once in my life.
No, I'd say you proved them wrong pretty good. So how long did it take for Devil in the Bottle to make it to #1?
12 weeks. Of course, back then, records went quicker. It was